For centuries, mankind has dreamed of exploring what lies beyond Earth's horizon. The Apollo 11 mission served as both a historic milestone and a moment in time that showed that the human race is capable of extraordinary things. Today, the moon landing is still celebrated as a defining achievement for mankind. Across the globe, millions look back at the day when the seemingly impossible became possible. On July 20th, 1969, the culmination of new technology, national pride, and a reignited hope for the future resulted in this historic moment. This one giant leap. Throughout the world, historians and NASA scientists agree that Apollo 11 was the most ambitious feat of innovation ever attempted. It defied mathematical odds and stretched the limits of man-made technology. Fortunately, Apollo experts like NASA Ambassador Daniel Hoy are able to explain how the voyage became a reality.
Apollo was a huge program because it was a huge undertaking. Up until that time, the furthest humans had been from Earth was about 850 miles, and they were about to embark on a 240,000-mile journey. The rocket that would take them there was immense by all standards, large enough that if you set it on its side on a football field, its escape tower at the tip would lie in one end zone, and the rocket nozzles on its giant booster engines would sit in the other end zone. This rocket that has, by many estimates, 6 million parts and had to fly 240,000 miles in order to reach its destination. So the numbers around the Apollo program are really kind of fantastic. A 363-foot rocket burning 15 tons of fuel per second, going 240,000 miles. There were about 400,000 people estimated that worked in some way on the Apollo program. So the three astronauts, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins, are kind of the stars of the story, but they were supported by hundreds of thousands of Americans across the country to land the first humans on the moon.
40 seconds away from the Apollo 11 liftoff. All the second stage tanks now pressurized. 35 seconds and counting. We are still go with Apollo 11. 30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
We got a roll program.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
The hard work and perseverance did not stop once the rocket left Earth's atmosphere. There were still a myriad of obstacles and risks that needed to be overcome both by the pilots of the Saturn V rocket and Mission Control. Those who stayed on Earth knew that this moment was where preparation would intersect with success.
This is what we prepared to do for years. This is why we're here. We're going to do something really, really great. We sent up thousands of bits of information to the computer, initializing the computer, initializing the instruments, getting it ready to separate. The trajectory officer kept tracking the vehicle from the ground, making sure that we knew where it was going to be when it started the power descent.
There was a lot of science and engineering came out of it that still carries forward to today. That a lot of people don't understand how much it's changed our daily lives, and was an economic engine for us. It made this nation a lot of wealth based off the technology that was developed.
We had to be optimistic because we were trying to do something that was out on the fringe of our technology. We could have confidence that we could overcome a lot of the technical challenges because we didn't have batteries that were suitable to go to the moon. So we had to be optimistic, but we also we knew that there was realism out there. We had to find some setbacks, and of course we had those too. We were dedicated to doing that job, and we felt like that was our responsibility, and we went for it.
This was a time when the country and most of the world was focused on something, and it was positive. It's a positive thing, and you know it's positive, and you know as a minimum, the things that fall out of it are going to be helpful.
It was an event that the whole world could experience and learn from. It brought families, neighbors, small towns, and big cities together to witness this monumental milestone in history. Society was rapidly changing, and new popular culture was taking shape.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
10 minutes before noon, the motorcade begins the 11-mile ride to the Dallas Trade Mart, where the president is to deliver a major address.
Something is wrong here. Something is terribly wrong. Stand by for a severe gunshot wound.
President Kennedy has been assassinated. It's official now. The president is dead.
To boldly go where no man has gone before. Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better.
In 1969, Richard Nixon was the US president. The Vietnam War was seeming like it was without end. Race relations were strained. The age or generational divide was widening. The women's liberation movement was just kind of hitting its peak. And there was a lot of angst in the country. On the other hand, on a lighter note, the Oscar-winning film that year was Oliver. The top pop hit when Apollo landed on the moon was In the Year 2525. Johnny Cash was the highest money earning country artist. The Haight-Ashbury hippie movement in San Francisco was kind of at its peak. And there were a lot of bell-bottoms, white belts, and miniskirts being worn around the country.
In the 1960s, the United States was going through a cultural transformation. As citizens partied and protested alike, the space race was boiling in the background. The Soviet Union was quickly developing technology to land a man on the moon. It had already sent the first man to space and was currently miles ahead of the United States space program. But after John F. Kennedy set the nation's sights on the moon, there was no going back. The race was on.
Oh my, when we got into space exploration, that's when it really got interesting.
Until 2 days ago, that sound had never been heard on this earth. Suddenly, it has become as much a part of 20th century life as the whir of your vacuum cleaner. It's a report from man's farthest frontier, radio signal transmitted by the Soviet Sputnik, the first man-made satellite as it passed over New York earlier today.
It was in 1958 when we launched the Explorer 1 in answer to Sputnik, which was Russia's Earth orbiter, and that was in the end of 1957. And since we had some of the material that we needed to use for the Orbiter 1, we were able to launch Explorer 1 in January 1958. I think it was 84 days after Sputnik was launched.
Soviet Russia scores a dramatic victory in the exploration of space with the launching of the first rocket to hit the moon. An historic scientific feat, Russia scores a major scientific advance, dramatically demonstrates the accuracy and reliability of its missiles. Moscow shot for the moon and scored a bullseye.
Despite the Soviet Union's early and commanding lead in the space race, the United States was determined to find a way to come out on top. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration developed the Apollo program, which ultimately clinched victory for the U.S.
Forward, drift into the right a little. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Forward, drift. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. ATA at a descent. Mode control, both auto, descent engine command override off. Engine arm off. 413 is in. Okay, everybody, T1. Stand by for T1. Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I watched Neil Armstrong walk on the moon, and I just sent shivers through me.
The more I watched it, the more interested I became, and it was just an awesome thing to watch.
When they finally landed on the moon, it was just awestruck. I just can't imagine.
It was just almost indescribable.
Just wonder. Absolutely. I can't believe it.
I thought, oh my golly, what is he doing? What are they doing? Are they actually going to land? And
I just felt like anything was possible. I just, actually it made me wish I had studied science stronger. That's the oohs and the ahs and the clapping and everything, and they were so excited.
I mean, we just couldn't believe it.
This is something really important to this country.
What mankind can do when he and she sets collective minds to it.
I thought we could do anything. I wasn't a bit surprised.
I still can't get it in my head, really, what they were actually doing up there.
And not have any gravity to, wait, that'd be kind of fun.
Who knows what we're going to do?
And I think that's nothing but good can come from that.
But just to see all this and realize that, what you're seeing is real history.
Since Apollo 11, NASA has been back to the moon several times and continues to study the Earth's closest interstellar companion. Recently, NASA has unveiled plans of going back to the moon to begin colonization efforts.
We're going to the moon to stay by 2024, and this is how.
This all starts with the ability to get larger, heavier payloads off-planet and beyond Earth's gravity.
For this, we designed an entirely new rocket.
The Space Launch System. SLS will be the most powerful rocket ever developed.
And with components in production
and more in testing,
this system is capable of being the catalyst for deep space missions.
Apollo 11 set the United States on a determined path for space exploration. As future generations look to the stars, they will have the tools necessary to explore them.
There was a great American emergence in science education that actually predated Apollo just a little bit, by about a decade, with the Sputnik moment. And that small little beeping satellite sent a charge through American society and politics and the education environment, with the realization that we had a lot of work to do. But information is so available, knowledge is so widespread. It's more about opportunity and support today. It's about getting kids started at an early age, getting them comfortable with the exploration of science and engineering, all of the STEM fields, and supporting them and creating opportunities for them to explore on their own.
In order to continue to unravel the great mysteries of our universe, STEM education and program funding must have constant and enthusiastic support. This is the only way that civilization will ever discover what lies in the outer reaches of space. But with enough hard work, determination, and curiosity, the next giant leap is just over the horizon.
And to all the other people that are listening and watching tonight, God bless you. Good night from Apollo 11.